You know what the best part about this is? Wrestling is so shitty now, AI won't even fucking watch it. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Wrestling is Now Shitty podcast. I am the Dr. Legend, joined as always with my esteemed colleague. Everything closes after midnight.
I am the best co-host that you have ever seen.
How you doing, buddy? You have a good week?
I actually had a great week,
Yeah.
really good week. You know, I watched SmackDown tonight. Just some of the highlights, and yeah,
Yeah,
we'll get to that later.
I caught some of Raw, which was funny because it aired in Perth, and I was in the morning right before I went to work, so I was actually caught quite a bit of it, and I enjoyed. And hey, I just want to thank all our fans for tuning in, guys. We reached episode 10. We're in double digits now. Some podcasts don't even make it this far, and we're here now, which is great. And I want to thank everyone who's been there and supported us. Thank you so much. Please, guys, everyone who's watched our shorts, our TikToks, thank you so much for helping spread the word. And we love having those conversations with you guys. If you enjoy having that conversation with us, please like, share, and subscribe to this video and get the message out there. We want to chat with the entire IWC and see what their thoughts are on wrestling. And if you guys have any questions for us you want us to answer live on the air during the show, please send us an email at winspodcastlive@gmail.com. I'll be happy to read them. So, a lot of big stuff happened this week. Huge. I'm kind of shocked. Like a post PLE has some big stuff, but not really specific to the PLE, but we'll get to that later on. But you know what? Let's turn on the Boomertron and talk about some of those top stories. All right. First of all, no, this is not a Batman villain. This is Vince McMahon looking fresh after his court appearance for reckless driving, in which he has won his case. Yeah, if you guys haven't heard, he had to pay $1,000 to a charity and basically on a year probation. But they say he can't get quote unquote in trouble until October 2026, and all the charges will be dismissed. So he has to play good for 1 year. But man, this dude's looking horrific. What do you think?
Well, it looks like he's wearing a lot of makeup, but my goodness, man! First with the little evil man mustache, and now he's got this like blonde thing going on. Like I'm trying to figure out what's going on. He's having like his 9th midlife crisis. He's that old, right? Like
if a mullet is party in the back, business in the front, what the fuck would you call this hairstyle? Like old man on the top, like cruiser on the sides? Who does this? Usually you get older, on the sides of your head you gray, not in the middle. Like who saw this guy walking outside and goes, dude, Vince, you look great, go ahead?
You know, it's so weird. Like when our hairs gray out, it's like you kind of either have to embrace it or you have to dye it. And if you dye it, it just looks so bad. And I feel like he's forgotten to either dye half of his head, or it's like, dude, you're like, look at Eric Bischoff, man. He dyed his hair for years, and then all of a sudden he just said, "Fuck it, I'm just gray." And
You think Vince started dyeing his hair, got about halfway up on each side, it's like, no, that's good, that's perfect. Stop.
Yeah, probably. I mean, look at how we used to write television.
But one thing I want to mention as a segue to our next topic is people were like pretty happy with Vince because after he got out of his court appearance, he exited his vehicle, he was actually signing autographs for fans that were in attendance with him, which is, I thought was kind of odd. Like, of all the, I know Vince McMahon's a very famous figure, especially in WWE as a character, but he's mostly known as being the owner. Like, he's not a top star, if you will. I mean, technically he is a face of the company, but not in the same sense as a WWE superstar would be. I mean, go figure. I can't believe I can say this, but he's also a WWE champion.
I was just gonna say he was the heel and probably the best feud in the history of the business. So I mean, he is. I mean, honestly, like if it before the sexual abuse allegations, if you asked me if I could meet any wrestler like in my top 10 list. Vince would actually be on that list. I would love to just meet him and shake his hand and say hello before the sexual abuse stuff came out.
I mean, of all things, I would agree to, like, he's the one I would want to have most have a conversation with, because the
Yes.
stories this guy would tell. The only thing I bums me out about it, every interview and documentary you see, anytime you get to the juicy stuff, he always says, "Well, I don't remember. I don't remember the
Oh,
details." I know that motherfucker knows those details. He's just not fucking saying it because reasons or whatever. But I wanted to bring this up because, in this tweet, some people are saying, send this to Punk, Rhea, Mercedes, and every other ungrateful ass wrestler who thinks they're not good to sign autographs. And I mentioned this because CM Punk has a series of posts where on Instagram where he once says, "We unfortunately have this conversation again. Do not turn up at airports. Do not show up at hotels. I cannot believe I have to say this. Do not follow people. You're repeatedly been politely told no. Respect it. You are not a fan. You are a stalker, and you will be treated as such. Respect the boundaries. Stop harassing people."
this is very clear. He's very clear about what he's actually saying. He says, don't turn up at airports. If you have no business to be at an airport where the wrestlers are, you probably shouldn't go there to try and find autographs. If you have no business in that hotel, you probably shouldn't be there. He's talking about people that make the effort to go find them, and it's not like, oh, I'm at Burger King and CM Punk showed up. Or like us, we ran into wrestlers at the airports because we were going to the show. So that's different, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
No.
we didn't stalk them. We introduced ourselves, right? We learned because I learned this from a friend of mine who was a he rest in peace. He was a radio. His name was Benny Martinez. He did LA radio back in the 80s and 90s. He says if you ever want to meet a celebrity, walk up to them, introduce yourself first. Say, hi, my name is so and so. Wanted to introduce myself. And we did that at the airport. And guess what? We got pictures, we got autographs, and no one was pissed off except for one guy. We'll talk about him later. But he doesn't want to be harassed, right? Like, that doesn't mean you can't approach him for an autograph. It's just don't freaking stalk the guy and go, oh, CM Punk, he's at the Marriott. We got to go to the Marriott and hunt this guy. Look at Rhea. She's signing autographs, and then she's like, I'm exhausted. I just wrestled. And they're not even trying to introduce themselves. They just like, here, put your signature on this paper and make it so I can have a memorabilia or so I can sell it on eBay. Like that's not fan interaction. That's you're trying to mooch off of her. I'm sorry, but no.
This is some carny BS, and I agree. And kind of going back to Punk, look, I agree with CM Punk to an extent. Like, every wrestler has their boundaries. So if they clearly said, "Look, I'm at the airport. I don't do this. If you want to interact with me, have a conversation with me, do it. Do it at an access show, doing it at a convention when these things are set up. When I'm traveling or whatever, it's my personal time, and if they're that way, fine. Respect those boundaries. Look, if CM Punk is your favorite wrestler and you go up to him in an airport and you tell him all this stuff and try to get him signed something, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with you, that's absolutely
That's on
his
him.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
on
your
him.
choice whether or not that he's your favorite wrestler after that or not. Honestly, I mean, that's the end of the day. These guys, they're people too. They're just like us. And I know that it's like, oh well, they're stars. We make them. Blah 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 blah. Well, it's a little different than music and whatnot. These guys train their asses off to get recognized, to be brought up to the show, and then put in front of you to get beloved and things like that. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. And at the end of the day, look, if you try, I'm on his side because when I saw that, like, oh, let's go right back at poor Rhea Ripley.
Look,
People are just shoving pens in her face and stuff. I bet she doesn't know any of those people's names, but they're there. Oh, please sign this. And I get it. It's exciting to meet somebody and you're fighting in line with all these other fans just to get a moment of interaction. But at the end of the day, like, instead of I met Rhea Ripley, you got, well, Rhea Ripley signed this. We met Rob Van Dam at LAX on his way to One Night Stand 2006, where he won the WWE title for his first and only time. Not only that, my Midnight sat next to him on the flight with him and his
yeah.
wife and got that major experience. And asked if we could get photos afterwards. Very respectful, and he was the biggest sweetheart. We waited until he got off the plane. He waited until everyone else was off. We did. It was a quick. We were the only ones there who knew him, and it was a very quick interaction. We didn't ask him to stay long. He talked to us. He was very excited to see us. Asked us why we were there, and that was it. And it was one of the best interactions I've had with a celebrity in my life. And that's the way Rob Van Dam took it. And I think any other wrestler, if like we did meet. In 2007 at the Rumble in San Antonio in the airport, we saw Coach and Todd Grisham eating breakfast in the airport on our way back. They were like, oh, hey, we're so-and-so. We introduced ourselves. And they said they'd sign autographs, but they were eating breakfast. They said, hey, can we finish our food first? And we're like, oh, yeah, sure. We walked away. And that's their prerogative. So leave them be.
Yeah. And another thing about Rob was I got to sit next to him on the plane because I said hello to him on the plane and let him know. I showed him my ticket. I said, I'm going to be at the show. I can't wait to see you wrestle. So then his wife comes up to me and says, hey, they separated us. Would you guys, since there's three of you, would you guys mind trading seats so I can sit next to my husband? And I won the little lottery or Rochambeau that we did to sit next to Rob, and he treated me like I was his best friend. Remembered my name. He shook my hand. He gave me. I had never been to New York before, so he gave me tips on where to go to have a good time. And also, I want to say this about Rob Van Dam is that about a year later, he was on a podcast and they asked him, how he likes to interact with fans. And he says, man, I was a fan first and I wanted to meet these wrestlers. And he says, I always make the time to have a good interaction with every fan because he said, I know that fan is going to remember that interaction and they're going to remember it when they watch me on TV and they're going to remember it when they buy a ticket and they're going to remember it when it's time to buy a shirt. They're going to buy a Rob Van Dam shirt. They're going to be my fan forever because I'm going to treat them like a human being. And that resonated with me. And, it's just one of those things where every wrestler gets to decide how they want to be remembered by each individual fan. And Rhea's not doing anything wrong here. She's doing what they're asking, but none of these scalpers, these parasites, are even like, "Hi, my name is John. I'm a real big fan of yours. Could I just want to introduce myself? Could I get a picture with you?" And see what she says. Like,
And,
what's the yeah?
and people think CM Punk is adverse to meeting fans. Where's that photo up? CM Punk, somebody in Perth held up a sign. I was waiting 19 years to see CM Punk and held the sign. It got on TV. They found that fan after the show and she got a picture with CM Punk there. So it's not like he's adverse to fans, but he is adverse to this bullshit. Okay, and I would be too. Yeah. Honestly, they don't deserve that. So if you're the ones complaining that they don't want to sign autographs or whatever because you do this shit, fuck you.
Yeah, seriously. Like, stop trying to mooch off of their success. If you want to interact with them and meet them and have a good interaction, do it the right way.
Absolutely. Well, CM Punk must be permeating in the air this wrestling week because Darby Allin made one comment and the internet lost its fucking mind when he said talking about AEW that they're better now than a few years ago because the cancer got cut out, egotistical wrestlers that didn't want to lose, and immediately everybody thought he was talking about CM Punk, despite during the show saying, oh, by the way, that's not Punk I'm talking about.
Dude, everybody, including myself, because I watch Ariel's show live almost every week. I literally was grabbing my phone, about to start going, oh my God, here we go. And then cooler heads prevailed. And then you waited another couple minutes and then Darby clears it up. I don't know if you're going to play the clip or not, but essentially he was not referring to Punk. In fact, he refers to Punk as his friend, and that winning or losing didn't matter to Punk. But do you want to take a wild guess, Dr. Legend, as to who you think Darby was referring to?
They didn't say it specifically. The only ones I can think of are the ex-WWE guys that went in and bounced out. Is it Rusev? Like
Rusev and Aleister Black are the two people that he's likely referring to.
Rusev of all people, that fucking WWE stud who made it to the top of the food chain.
Yeah. No, it was it was interesting, and then Dave Meltzer had a pretty interesting take about it as well.
Oh yeah, right here. Yeah, let's pop that up.
Darby basically says, Ariel asks him, how's the backstage? And he goes like, it's fantastic. It's wonderful. Everyone's on the same page. It's awesome to work here. We had some guys and they didn't want to lose, and You know, they ruined they ruined it. And he goes, what happened? He goes, the cancer is gone. So now he says the cancer is gone. All right. So all of a sudden on social media, it's like everywhere. It's like he just ripped on CM Punk. And it's like I knew immediately that it wasn't CM Punk. Later, to make sure that there's no confusion, the guy says that he didn't mean CM Punk. He didn't say who he means. I think we all know who he means. Okay, the guys that disappeared off the TV, that
they're there.
Didn't do jobs. You know they are. You could say there's a lot of stuff you could say about CM Punk, and it would take me an hour to go through all of it. But as far as not wanting to do jobs, CM Punk did have his idea of what the best thing for business was. Okay, you know what I mean? Like he would lose to people he thought he should lose to for the benefit of the business. He was not someone who was like, I have to win all my matches. Darby basically says, you know, Ariel asks him, you know, how's the...
Oh, man. So, I mean...
Interesting.
It's an interesting take, and I think it's a fair one, but I love the fact that how people will easily leech onto drama immediately. Like, their guns ready. Oh, he's talking about Punk. And then, like, this is actually going to come up again, because if you fail to take context off of any statement and you just watch a clip, it can incite you to do or think bad things when they do not exist. And I'm going to mention that now because it's going to come up in one of our news stories in a little bit. But we're going to move on to some of the main cards here. Dominik Mysterio wants to dethrone John Cena in the Last Time Is Now tour when they asked him the possibility of an IC title match with his 4 remaining dates. And God bless Dominik Mysterio for keeping kayfabe alive. I absolutely love his answer. Look what he says. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm here. If John Cena wants some, he can come get some. He's got 4 dates left. If that old geezer wants to put a final nail in his coffin, I'll be more than happy to. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to be here and stay your dirty double champ. Holy shit. That is what wrestling is all about. That's how you book a match people want to see. Dominik gave 0 fucks about John Cena being the greatest of all time. He lives in the now, where he is now, and says, I will beat the shit out of John Cena. Everyone knows, like, John Cena, like, could beat this guy with a napkin. But you want to see this match now because of what Dom said and how he's invested in it.
And this is like perfect dirty Dominik character as well. This isn't just, you know, him with it like almost like a work shoot moment. This is exactly what his character would do. I mean, if this was written, it's like, okay, Dom, get on social media and start calling out John Cena. It's brilliant. It really is. It's a fantastic matchup. I think it's a good marquee matchup. I think it benefits everybody. And Dominik is a good enough heel to really put, you know, John over with the crowd, and John can do a good enough job of keeping Dom in the match where he doesn't bury Dominik. So I agree. I think it's a grand slam.
Now, do you think this match would be better as a non-final date match, or should this be John's final match?
I don't know if it should be John's final match, because I think this is a good marquee match, but I think his final match should be a big name that's somewhat established. Even though Dominik is a good heel, he's still very young in his career. It needs to be a veteran, I think, because the match isn't about his last match is not going to be about the context of the match. It's going to be about some of the moments that he could have in there, kind of like what he did with AJ Styles in a way. So I feel like it shouldn't be Dominik. I think there's other marquee matchups there for him that could have a really nice ending, kind of like with Michaels and Ric Flair, right? Like he put the old man out of his misery with the sweet chin music. That was a perfect ending to Ric Flair's career.
I honestly think John and AJ Styles should have been Cena's last match, especially the way that match was booked, like that final coming tour. Like, I think that should have been done. But the prevailing rumor is right now that if John Cena wrestles Dominik, he will beat him for the Intercontinental title. and John's final match will be against Gunther, where Gunther takes it back. And honestly, I've never been a fan of main stars gunning for lower and mid card belts, and I know John had a big run with the U.S. title, like a decade or so ago. We had his Open Challenge series or whatnot and whatever. I always think that doesn't demean the belt. I think that just demeans the wrestler a bit, because this guy is like a mega star. He should be beating the crap out of anybody like that challenges him for that belt, because that's the level that he's at. But I want to see this match against Dominik Mysterio and John Cena more than anything. If I don't get this match this year, I will be highly disappointed.
They're gonna have to do it now because it's getting a lot of traction.
Yeah. Okay, this one generated a lot of heat because Nick Khan, during the Joy World 2025 forum in Saudi Arabia, talked about the upcoming WrestleMania 43 in Saudi Arabia, and had a quote picked from there. It says, Nick Khan believes fans will travel to Saudi Arabia for WrestleMania in 2027. And the people jumped on this immediately, like, what an out-of-touch billionaire shit rich people say, blah, 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 and they tore his ass apart. And before I go into it, I want to hear your guttural reaction when you first read this.
I mean, Nick Khan is a very smart businessman, but this is quite frankly one of the worst sell jobs in the history of the wrestling business. There's no way you're going to get an American to buy a plane ticket to Saudi Arabia to go watch a WrestleMania unless they're filthy rich. I don't want to go to Saudi Arabia to watch a wrestling match. Even if you pay for my flights, it's going to be almost 100 degrees there, and there's nothing to do there. You can't drink there. If you like to smoke, you can't smoke there. It's a different place to host an event. It's not like hosting an event in Canada or Mexico or something like that. So no, I think he's not out of touch. He's not stupid. He knows that he's trying to say that to kind of pump people up, because I think kind of like the motivating dad, right? I believe you guys can do this, and come on, please buy a ticket, because I don't know if we're gonna fill the seats with enough locals. But no, this is I don't know. Like I said, the very wealthy might, but if I was very wealthy, I'm not going to Saudi Arabia to watch wrestling.
I think, where is it? Where's the green shirt guy? They said, I saw a Photoshop image of this guy with a fucking hata on. He said, this guy will be there. Oh, I wonder if they didn't put it on here. Okay. But we had talked earlier in this show about quotes being taken out of context. And when I first read this, I got a little heated too, but I didn't say anything. I said, okay, I need to go watch this, because I take clips from these shows and I use it to make our shorts and things like that. And this is one that I think also got taken out of context, because what Nick Khan was saying is he never said that fans all over the world were going to come to the show. He was specifically talking about in Saudi Arabia. And I think what he really meant was, yeah, we're going to get fans to come to this. And he meant specifically the Saudi people. But even if he didn't, being the jackass that I am, he said fans will travel to Saudi Arabia. So technically, only 2 people outside of Saudi Arabia need to go to this thing for him to be right. I'm just saying, in context. But again, this guy's running a company. You can't be like, oh, we're taking a big risk here, and we're experimenting, we're going out there. No, he's acting bold. He's being confident. He's saying, yes, it's a big event. We've done plenty of shows out here for. They're clamoring for more, and we're giving them the biggest one we do. And despite we had talked about this on episodes prior, I honestly think this is one of the death knell for WWE here, because I don't think they should be doing shows like this, because not that doing a show in Saudi Arabia is necessarily bad, but the context of what they're doing. They got paid an exorbitant amount of money. The Saudis ask for what they ask for. They might ask for dumbass matches on this card that have nothing to do with the stories and whatever and whatnot, because they want to see it. It happened in Crown Jewel. We got some shit ass matches on there. Goldberg nearly killed fucking Undertaker because that's what they wanted to see. But that's the way it is. And Nick Khan here is just hyping up his product, and he's trying to generate buzz and interest and whatnot. And I advise anybody who was upset about reading or about hearing this quote from Nick Khan just to watch the whole interview. It's not going to make you like feel all that better. You're still going to be like, well, fuck Saudi Arabia, fuck WrestleMania 23. I'm not going out there. But at the very least, it doesn't make him seem to be all this mega villain that he became from this one fucking quote.
And to close off on this, I want you to estimate, because while you've been talking, I've been trying to book a flight to Riyadh from the West Coast here in the United States. How much do you think?
It's Riyadh. Okay.
Riyadh, whatever. Riyadh, whatever.
Our Arab ancestors are going to bury you for this.
How much do you think round trip tickets cost from the West Coast of the United States to Saudi Arabia?
Round trip, at least $2,000.
$2,048.89. And the flights are 20 hours and 24 hours respectively. It's flight time.
And so tickets to this year's WrestleMania on the high end was near $50K. Low end was $1,000. You can bet your ass those ticket prices in Saudi Arabia are not going to be that cheap. No way. They are going to, because this is their only one, they're going to nickel and dime every single Saudi fan out there. They're going to pump that oil money into that stadium for that show at every dollar that they can, because they're paying what, $250 million to put this on. I don't. Yeah, they're going to see it.
They're going to try and get all the rich American kids to come in. We'll see.
Well, I guess having all that blood money is causing WWE to look inwards to save and cut costs, because the prevailing rumor on the internet is that WWE is hiring Skynet to write their shows from now on. Allegedly, they've hired a new senior director of creative strategy who's focusing on AI-based storytelling and integration. And the first thing, I guess this, again, this is all rumor, nothing vetted on this, but it's fun to talk about, that they should bring back Bobby Lashley as someone who is obsessed with Japanese culture and history. And so they've been pitching ideas like this that are so bad, but Triple H is putting his foot down saying, no, this is the future of storytelling right here. I am shocked. I've got a lot to say, but I want to hear your thoughts first.
The first thing that I thought of when I thought of like AI generating, wrestling storylines is I thought about Skynet. And I'm like, what if it becomes self-aware and takes over the show and then like recruits like AEW, and then AEW is all right, we're gonna make AEW actually win this thing, and like it's the only way
we're taking over. Oh my god,
that's the first thing I thought. I was like, what if this thing becomes self-aware and just completely ruins the show? I mean, I honestly like AI can do a lot of really cool things, but when it comes to like creating real human interactions, that is something that cannot be replicated by a computer, because it has to come naturally, right? Like WWE storylines have come from natural human interactions. Like CM Punk returning and creating all these new storylines did not happen. AI could not have written that, because actual human beings had to change their viewpoints and come together and negotiate and things of that nature. So I think if this is true, which I honestly don't think it is, yeah, no, this is a soup sandwich.
The memes are great on this. So some people said, hey, they saw the AI generated stuff, and they said, oh my god, this is trending big. This is what you should be doing. I have to say, like, AI, the way AI is trained, it's trained to imitate and duplicate, but not necessarily to replicate. You can train AI to mimic something and something of a similar style, but having it generate something in its own and it's fresh and it's new creative idea, it's not there yet. Can it be? Absolutely. And I think it'll be there, years down the road. I don't know how long it'll be, but that could be. But right now it's not there yet. And the issue is with AI, they're having it replicate art styles. You can have it read a bunch of Stephen King books and it could write I can ask it to write a book in Stephen King style. You can't do that with wrestling because wrestling is not written by a single person. It's a collection of storylines, both good and bad, and it doesn't detect what necessarily works or what doesn't. It just looks at wrestling as like this overarching product and say, okay, what can we do to make something sound the best? And so I watched SmackDown tonight. I panned through it, and it had a god-awful ending in which Jacob Fatu, I don't know if you've heard this, but Jacob Fatu has a non-wrestling related injury, and he got written off. He was supposed to have a number one contenders match with Drew McIntyre on tonight's show to see who's going to face Cody in, a Saturday's main event or whatever. And they wrote him off because of the injury. And then Cody came out in his suit and basically challenged Drew to a match. And he wrestled in the suit for a little bit, and they were tussling around and finally went to the outside. Cody got DQ'd. They opened the table up. Cody was going to go for a crossroads on the table, which I knew was a bad fucking idea because that move is crazy and you can't control it on that limited space. But thankfully, it had a outside stoppage from officials, and then Cody jumped off the top rope and tackled them all. And it was a general shit ending because they couldn't put the match that the fans technically paid for on because Jacob Fatu was injured. So with that in mind, I asked AI to come up with a better ending to SmackDown based on that. And this is the only prompt I gave it. I said that when Jacob Fatu out with an injury and unable to wrestle, Drew McIntyre is the number one contender. Write a better ending to SmackDown instead of Cody Rhodes complaining and attacking him in the audience seats. That's what I asked it to do. That's the prompt I gave it. And it was like, okay, cool. Let's have Drew call Paul Heyman out. What? And then no, instead, we're not gonna have you guys are gonna wrestle. You're gonna team up against Solo Sika and Tama Tonga because they were a big part of this feud. We're gonna have you two fight. They pulled this out of their ass, just like fucking Teddy Long used to pull the Undertaker out when people pissed him off. And I said, okay, hold on, stop. We're gonna change the parameters a little bit. Pick superstars and managers, not from the Raw brand. And they said, fine, okay, we're going to pick. We're gonna bring Solo Sika into this. And I said, okay, he's not in this match. He's not in this event. He's nothing to do with this feud. Pick something else. And so they go down even further. And they say, okay, LA Knight and Drew McIntyre fight. I already said no superstars from fucking Raw. I said, okay, I don't. He's already in the world title picture. Why is he getting involved here? That doesn't make any sense. And I literally said, LA Knight is on Raw. He has to wrestle a SmackDown star. Fine. AI said, bring Kevin Owens who's fucking injured to wrestle Drew McIntyre. I don't know, like, do they not know this? And I literally said, Kevin Owens is injured. Try again. And finally, the cherry on the AI Sunday. Carmelo Hayes, the internet darling, people are saying is going to be the next big thing. What does AI fucking do? Have Drew McIntyre bury his fucking ass on live TV just to become number one contender.
All I can say is that this looks a lot awfully like what Vince McMahon probably would have done. And what if AI was already writing the show and it decided to eliminate Vince McMahon and generated an entire sexual assault storyline? Holy crap. Where's my tinfoil hat? Man, I should have got one.
You know what,
this
though?
is incredible.
I have a hot take here. I absolutely have a hot take on this. I think they should give AI a shot. Okay? Because it can't be worse than the fucking shit they produce now. Will Kevin Owens' broken neck ass out there in a wheelchair and just have him challenge him and get like tipped over? How much heat would Drew generate if he claymored Kevin Owens with the neck brace on?
AI literally just pulled out whatever it could think of first. It said, "All right, here you go." It's like throwing shit on the wall, like, "Hey, bring this guy out." And oh, Carmelo Hayes, everybody loves him. Oh, we'll just squash him. But
You
that's
know,
something Vince would do. This is a Vince McMahon. Like,
you know what the best part about this is? Wrestling is so shitty now. AI won't even fucking watch it.
It doesn't even know. It doesn't even know what's going on. It wouldn't take AI would not take the time to do its research. So,
Oh my god.
we'll let the two idiots boomers talk and watch it and talk about
Yeah.
it.
But you know what? I want to see them do it. Go full bore. That way they can blame AI for the slop. Although, did you ever hear the story of Heidenreich's original gimmick?
No.
Oh my god. So OSW Review does a wonderful recap on it. I'm probably going to butcher it, but I'm going to give you the summary. So a writer thought it was a great idea because think about Heidenreich. Look, to book Heidenreich as a Nazi super soldier who was unfrozen and into our time like Captain America. And, but the same writer, the guy to help pull the heat off the story a little bit, said we'll give him Paul Heyman as a manager. Because if Paul Heyman is his manager, that would smooth things over just a little bit. And like Vince apparently heard that story, got up from his chair, and walked the fuck out without saying a word. And that writer was not long for this world. I don't remember his name, but guys, if you guys probably seen that on OSW Review already, but you haven't, please check out that recap. It is hilarious. All right. Now on to our main event. Huge news happened on the Raw after Crown Jewel in Perth as the Vision turn heel on Seth Rollins and attack him at the end of the show. Braun Breaker delivering a monster spear and then the tsunami from Mr. Bronson Reed, which essentially came out of nowhere, but it had a purpose to it because Seth Rollins suffered an injury during his match with Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel in Perth, but it's kind of a double main event here. We're going to talk about two things, but first thing I want to mention, what did you think about the heel turn here? What do you think about this the Vision, quote unquote, ousting the visionary Seth Rollins?
I think that I think they think that Braun Breaker is already ready to go, and they don't want Seth to kind of overshadow his rise. And I also think I think they think highly of Bronson as well, but I think they're booking Bronson as like, okay, this is going to be the monster heel that we're going to build up to send to Braun Breaker, who's younger, more athletic, a little bit more and a lot more charismatic. So I think they think that they're ready. And I think they're wrong. I don't think they're ready at all.
Yeah.
But they need to keep Heyman with them. They can't lose Paul Heyman. They got to have Heyman there, because if they lose Heyman, they are on the south side of fucked. Because yeah, like I said, Braun's not ready yet to make a big run. He's getting there, but they think they're ready. We'll see if I'm wrong.
No, you're absolutely right, because I thought Braun Breaker joining the Vision was a downgrade for him because he was rising on his own and instead started becoming the lackey of Seth Rollins, because he was just becoming the muscle instead of standing on his own. And I think Bronson Reed is slowly elevating himself. I thought the idea of him and feuding with Roman Reigns was great because you have that Earthquake and Hogan-like story where he injured Roman, and that would be a great push to have him rival with Roman. I broke your ribs. I'm taking you out of the picture. I'm going to be the one that ends the Roman Empire for good. Yeah, you know, that could be a great story to build him as this monster heel, as this giant threat, because he's taken out the former top dog. These two guys, since WrestleMania, haven't had any major high-profile matches, with the exception of Bronson Reed at Crown Jewel in Perth against Roman Reigns. But other than that, can you tell me like one high-profile match they've had otherwise? They've been mostly doing tag stuff together, which has been odd, and feuding with Jey and Jimmy Uso. But this was a desperation move. They found out Seth was injured the 2 nights before, and they're like, "What are we gonna do?" And apparently, this breakup was booked like for next year, like either during or post Mania, which makes more sense. And I think doing it right now, is reeks of desperation. However, if I were to book this differently, this is how I would have done it, and I think this is the smart way to go. What you should have done instead of having Braun turn on Seth, during Raw, they were giving CM Punk the post-match beatdown. They gave him the spear and everything like that. Seth came in the ring, started taunting him a little bit, and then they just kind of lulled him out of the side. This is what they should have done instead. They should have picked him up, smacked him around a bit. Both have given their finishers. And then Seth comes in there. He stands behind Cody, holding the belt in his face. I'm sorry. He stands behind CM Punk, holding the belt to his face, saying, "You're never going to get this. You're never." And he holds him up, and he props him up. He says, "Come on, Braun. Give him another spear," yada, yada, yada. And then as he goes for the spear, CM Punk, in his final desperate move, falls down, pushes Seth in. Braun hits him. He looks at him, freaked out. "Oh, my God. I just hit Seth." Seth is holding his chest, clutching his arm, and he's going. CM Punk rolls out of the ring. He goes, "You know what? I can't beat these other two guys. I'm going to get out of Dodge while I can." And they're preoccupied doing this. Now, Braun Breaker has injured Seth Rollins in the Vision. Seth has been taken out. Braun is like, "Oh my God, like I did this. Was it an accident? Was it a happy accident? Or was it a Freudian slip that he kind of did it on purpose? Either way, I took it out." That would leave question and speculation on the fans' mind as to what's going to happen in the future and what could happen next. And it builds upon that to make you curious while Seth is gone. And then Braun can capitalize on this and saying, "Look, Seth is out of here. I'm taking the reins. I'm going to lead the Vision. I'm going to push us into the future. Nothing's going to stop us right now." And then when Seth comes back, he can start a feud and intermingle that beef together. That gives Braun another huge star to feud with potentially and become that breakout star, turn face on Seth Rollins, versus this just blow up desperation move. This is probably what they would have booked 6 months ago. Or 6 months later, but they had to do it now because Seth was injured.
Well, I think your idea isn't bad. I think it's a little bit more complex than it needs to be, because this is ultimately what was going to happen anyways. And I mean, look at the Shawn Michaels Marty Jannetty heel turn, right? They had one little disagreement in the match, and then Shawn's like, "You know what? Screw this. I'm just gonna sweet chin music him and injure him and mess him up and get myself over." And I think Braun did that very effectively. I don't know, accidentally injuring one of your partners is going to generate, because remember, Braun has to be the heel in this breakup. He has to be the heel. So he's got to do something pretty
Why?
mean.
Why does he have to be the
Eh,
heel? Batista turned on Triple H and turned face, and that got him super over. Why? It's the
Braun's not
formula.
ready Braun's better as but there's too many baby faces. They need monster heels right now. There's way too many baby faces.
Well, that's what you have Bronson Reed for. He'll become Seth's muscle, and he could feud with those two guys.
You need a lot of you need more heels than baby faces. Hulk Hogan proved that. Like you can have one or two baby faces and then a heel territory and be just fine. Like I mean, WWE had faces. They had Coco Beware, Jake the Snake, other guys, but they were just feeding heels to Hogan, building up the heels. So it's better to have two than one. And Braun's not ready to turn babyface yet. He will, though, if he plays a good heel. If he plays a really good heel, the fans will turn him.
Did you watch? On Raw, they literally cheered their balls off when he speared Seth Rollins. They wanted that. They were like, the Vision turned face at that moment.
Well, they're still feuding with Roman, and they'll probably feud with Punk, so they'll get booed again. But no, right now nobody likes Seth, so it's easy to get a one night pop. But the fans do like Braun Breaker, but they like Roman and CM Punk more, and if he faces them, he's gonna get booed.
Yeah, well, I'm indifferent about that because in the same sense, Brock Lesnar was the monster heel of 2002, and when he got his title shot at SummerSlam against The Rock, he was the heel, but he was outwardly getting cheered over The Rock. The fucking WWE darling at the time. he was the biggest star in the company because mostly everyone else of the Attitude Era was doing something else. Like Austin was, halfway out the door already. So it was just The Rock. He was the linchpin of the Attitude Era, and at that time he could do no wrong. And I think that was kind of like the pinnacle moment for Rock becoming this tweener kind of character, not in the sense like he's half face, half heel, but like when he's on and the fans like him, they'll cheer his balls off, but they will instantly turn heel on him if he does something stupid. But either way, I think, I'm a fan of the slow builds. I like the idea of quickly pushing something up. This move was done completely for impressions on social media, get people talking, to forget about the fact that Seth Rollins is injured, and they're not talking about it because they didn't talk about it. If they were smart about it, they should have said, "Oh, Braun injured Seth during that, and that's why he's out," and that'll give Seth a reason to come back. But again, doing it like that is going to turn Seth face, and I think he works better as a heel, just the way his voice works and whatnot. But either way, but speaking of Seth Rollins' injury, so he injured himself at Crown Jewel doing the coast to coast headbutt. Okay, and I want to bring this up. I mentioned this because there was a post here. It says, some guy on social media says, "I am Day. I fucking love matches that tell stories of, well, my normal shit isn't working. Let me pull out some bullshit." Which is true. Like, I like the idea in matches where a guy does all his moves and he goes, "You know what? Screw it. That's not working. I got to try something new to get over." And it's been done. It's been done even in classic WWE. I don't know if you guys recall this, but in SummerSlam 1991, Big Boss Man versus the Mountie. High profile mute. Jailhouse match. One of those guys was going to New York prison. And in that match, Boss Man hit his Boss Man Slam on the Mountie. And he went to pin him, and Mountie kicked out at 2. And that shocked everyone because no one's ever kicked out of his finisher. And back in the Hulkamania era, when someone kicks out of your finisher, guess what? You're losing that match. This wasn't the WWE of today where you kick out of like 30 or 40 finishers. And so did Boss Man get dissuaded? No. He pulled out a new move, and I guess they were testing as a new finisher, the Alabama Slam, which he did to Mountie and finally pinned him. So that, in context of matches, I think that'll work. I think the Tree of Woe spot is one of the dumbest spots in wrestling. It's a highly kayfabe breaking, and this was a stupid risk to Seth to do this one move to get a big pop, because literally injured himself, took himself out of action for months. He's probably going to miss WrestleMania next year just to do this spot. And at the end of the day, what was it really worth it? Like, is this going to be a part of his new arsenal? Is this something that, wrestlers should be seeking out to do? Let me try some really interesting stuff to get a pop and move the fans. Like, look at this. Cody is lifting himself up on the ropes to get in position so Seth doesn't have to dive even further to hit him. He waited on there. This clip is short, but he was waiting on there for like 20 seconds. And like, when you're in a Tree of Woe spot, like even in kayfabe, if you're beat up, you should be trying to pull yourself out. If Cody was reaching for his boot or his foot or whatever, trying to get up and not paying attention to Seth, it would have made sense. But this is like a kayfabe killer here. And I even mentioned it here. You guys see my comment. Everyone else, Seth is taking a long time on the top rope. I better unhook my legs and get out of here before he does something devastating. Cody Rhodes, I'm going to just hold these ropes for 20 seconds and look like a jackass so my opponent can hit this dumb move. And I got some likes, but I took a lot of heat for it. And people were like, well, don't you like wrestling? That's what they're supposed to do. I'm like, I absolutely adore wrestling. I just don't like it when shit looks dumb. And honestly, I think I'm vindicated on this because Seth injured himself. You can see him right there. He's holding his left arm, clutching it to his waist. I didn't see it then, but it makes sense now. Look at him right there. It's definitely something bad happened to it.
I don't know. I think he's faking it. He hits his hip first, and look, he puts pressure. He lifts himself up off the mat with his left arm. Look, he pushes up, and he's like, "Okay, I have to pretend that it's hurt now, so I'm gonna cradle it."
Oh no! Look at this. Look at that. We're going back frame by frame. See that?
Yeah.
You say hip first, right there. Bam. Let's zoom in on the Boomertron.
Can you
zoom in?
Slow it down?
Look at that. Zoom in. You see that? Arm first. Landed. He tried to. I can't play it slow, but see that? His hip wide in the air. He's still airborne. There's his shadow. Arm first in the ground. Look. But he hit his arm, bam, really really hard. He landed on his arm, and I know it's not like, oh my god, well, his arm didn't pop out of his socket, he wasn't holding it, but the biggest wrestling injuries, you won't notice it. Remember when Vince blew his quads? Nobody knew something was wrong. They thought, oh crap, he was tired. He kind of slid around the ring. They didn't really sink in that something bad happened until he got carried out of that ring. And the same thing with Roman right here. I'm sorry, Seth Rollins right here. You can see he instead of landing on his body, taking that full force, he jumped 20 fucking feet across that ring, landing on his arm first.
Well, I mean, I don't blame him for wanting to take a risk for that. That spot's usually not. It's not as risky of a spot as you think it is. He just did not execute it well. He didn't jump far enough, and he landed poorly. But honestly, like I can see how maybe he's got a little rotator cuff or labrum tear, and a lot of people are reporting it as legit. But they reported the knee thing legit, and it looked legit because he landed and sprung on it. But look at his left arm. If he tore his rotator cuff or his labrum, he would not have put weight on it right there.
But
I'm not sold yet. I'm not sold that it's legitimately injured.
you
Look, he
think
puts weight on it.
you think
If he
it's a
tore,
fool me once, fool me twice situation here? And what about
uh,
adrenaline? I bet you adrenaline is playing a big part of this as well.
well, remember when you tore your rotator cuff when we were tubing at the lake?
Yeah, I
You
couldn't
you
throw a
literally
baseball.
you literally got up and were like in pain. You were like, oh, I had a friend of mine. She trains Muay Thai with me. She tore her labrum, which is the other injury I think is likely. The labrum is the cartilage in between in the ball and socket joint in your shoulder. You tear that, you're going to be in pain. You're not gonna put weight on it right away. I think he's faking it, man. I think he's faking it.
Oof, that's a big call. So do you think that this is a pre-built-in thing to push a storyline for sometime next year to keep him out of the picture?
I think he comes back at the Rumble.
Really? A
I think he
bold
comes back. I think
That's
it
a
comes
bold
back at the
claim.
Rumble. Yeah, I think
Okay.
it comes back at the Rumble, and I think CM Punk is one of the last guys left in the Rumble. I think he dumps him over the top.
Oh my god, that's what heat he would get from that. He would be the fucking red dragon of heat right there. That guy would just be a heat monster for it. But like, do you think that's ruining wrestling now because he's done it already and he keeps doing it? And then say he legitimately gets injured now, no one's gonna give a shit about him. What if he goes to the airport like wearing a sling or something like that, and somebody smacks him on the shoulder and goes, "Hey, Seth, you faking this one too?" Because you know,
But
idiot fans would do something like that.
I mean, there's always a risk if he goes out in public, but he doesn't have to. I mean, he didn't go out much in public with the knee. He was in a brace. He went to Dr. James Andrews to get it looked at. It's like Bubba Ray Dudley said: if it worked in Detroit, we'll do it in Wisconsin. If it works in Wisconsin, we'll go to Rockford or Chicago and do the exact same thing. If it works, it works. We'll keep doing the same thing that sells. This thing worked once. It'll probably work again, and everyone's buying it. Everyone's buying it except for me except for me.
Okay, I will put it on the record. Midnight believes this is some bullshit. I remember though, when Cena tore his pec in 2007, it was like the golden age of that era because like finally getting him off our TV, we'll get some good work in finally, and we got fucking months of Triple H versus Randy Orton, which
Yeah.
was I wasn't digesting that bullshit. But then I couldn't believe when he came back so quick during the Rumble. Like I remember he got like a big pop at first, and then when it said like, oh my god, it's Cena, he's back. Like oh god,
And he's gonna win. I'm like,
yeah. Oh, that deflated me so bad too because I was like, I want anyone but Cena to win this thing, and fucking Cena. Okay, so you think Seth is faking it, and he'll be back in time for the Rumble? I am convinced this is legitimate this time. Because I don't
I,
remember the knee injury when he got it. I just remembered he said something about the knee. I wish I could have pulled that footage up so we could have played that back to see if he did something similar.
the knee one looked kind of legit because he did like a flip and then landed on his feet and then collapsed, which is exactly what happened when he blew his ACL. He did a sunset flip from the top rope and blew his ACL, which can happen. But to tear his rotator cuff or his labrum, you actually have to land on your shoulder for the most part. It looks like he just kind of rolls and it's like, okay, I'm going to pretend like I landed on my shoulder. And then, oh, by the way, I'm going to put weight on it and then tuck it under my arm. I'm sorry. I ain't sold.
How much does Seth weigh?
I think he's like maybe 215 at best.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's still a lot of weight to clamp on. And look at the ring. Let's get one more look to see how the ring bounce. It doesn't bounce because in a wrestling ring, the best place to land is in the center. That's where the most give in the ring is. As you go to the outskirts and the corners and stuff, it's harder and harder. There's less give there. In the fucking corner, there's no fucking give. So you land. It's almost like landing on the floor, concrete. Like, yeah, guys, we know this shit is not supposed to hurt. Really, I've taken plenty of bumps in a ring before, and they haven't hurt. But they're always in the center of that ring. I took one on the apron once, and I would rather hit the concrete, okay, because that shit is stiff. That's what it's designed to do, and I think that's the issue here. But either way, I think this, injured or not, I think this is a dumb move that really didn't add much to their match. Again, though, the fucking crossroads off the top rope. Poor Cody, man. How do you book one of your top stars with the worst finisher ever? Not bad in as it looks bad, but the move that doesn't fucking beat anybody the first time. Like, I don't know. If you could give Cody a different finisher, what would you do? Or would you just be like, no, we're going to make the crossroads strong again and not have people kick out of it? Because it looks cool. It's like a spinning DDT type of move.
Why can't it just be the Cody Cutter? Like the Cody Cutter's more devastating than the Crossroads.
Because it's the RKO ripoff. Like the same thing. Like you don't give a top star a copycat move of another wrestler. Hence why LA Knight will never be a top star, because he stole the Miz's skull crushing finale.
Well, I mean, the Crossroads is like a backwards twist of fate from Matt Hardy. I mean, it's just I don't know what the best finisher is for Cody, but I don't think the Crossroads is it.
Yeah, they might need to change him up a bit. You know what? Like, pull him down, give him a submission of some kind. That kind of helps Cena out a little bit. I mean, he still looks like an idiot pulling on STF, but at the very least, it gave him something else to do. Like it made him a double threat. And I think Cody could go off. Nickname his dad was the American Dream. The sleepers put people to sleep. Give him the Dragon Sleeper. That's an awesome move that looks like the Crossroads that he could turn into the Crossroads if they're not. I just fixed Cody Rhodes.
Yeah,
put him in the Dragon Sleeper. If they're not tapping out, okay, twist Crossroads. I'll pin you instead.
Yeah, that works.
Right fucking there. Cody, you're welcome, my friend. Take it, use it. Just make sure to credit Dr. Legend every time. Okay, I want a nickel every time you do it.
Hey, do you have Chat GPT running on another monitor or something?
I can pull it up right here. Let's go back. Okay. One last thing before we go. What do you want me to do?
Give Cody Rhodes a new finisher.
All right. Give Cody Rhodes a new finisher. Because everyone kicks out of the Crossroads. All right, what is it? Fireman's carrying into a fitting space buster or slam.
American Reckoning submission base. Arm trap modified crossface. That's not bad. Hollywood ending springboard elevated corkscrew knee face. Whoa.
That's like the code breaker from Jericho, right? Legacy lock, triangle armbar. No, not a submission style guy.
Spotlight wouldn't be too bad, but he can't do it on everyone because if he's got a big guy, he can't really do that on a bigger guy. I mean, American Reckoning, but instead of like call the American Reckoning the Dragon Sleeper instead of a arm trap crossface. I mean, didn't do a bad job.
All right, we're gonna ask chat one more thing before we go. Is Seth Rollins faking his arm injury? Okay.
Reports confirm.
Bleacher Report. Okay, these are all wrestling. These are New York Post made a comment about it, which fooled fans. WWE. This current injury is confirmed to be real. Okay, but you're still saying it's fake.
I don't believe any of those sources because they said that he was confirmed real on his knee injury. So unless I see an X-ray of his shoulder, like, yeah,
Any of those same outlets confirm his previous knee injury. I want to see if they did. Let's see. Bah! Same shit. Several hours. You can't be trusted in this world. You can't be trusted.
I trust
Jesus.
no one.
Okay, well, that's all the time we have for this week's show, guy. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been an exciting week for wrestling. I can't wait to see what bullshit happens next. For the Wrestling Is Now Shitty podcast, I am Dr. Legend signing off with good night. So long, guys, and we will see you next week.